My name is Régine Duboulay. I'm the Associate Director for Undergraduate Recruitment here at McGill, and I am accompanied by my colleague, Nicholas David, who is a recruitment officer who travels to the United States and other parts of the world to answer students' questions about admissions.
100%. So first and foremost, before we start off, let's talk about, and this is a more important part. We acknowledge that McGill University is located on land that which has long served as a site of meeting and exchange amongst indigenous people, including the Haudenosaunee and Haudenosaunee nations. McGill honors, recognizes, and respects these nations as the traditional stewards of the land and waters on which we meet. All right, so let's get into the crunch of things. McGill University. So immerse yourself in the culture here at McGill University. It's an English language university in the Francophone province, located, well, obviously, in the province of Quebec in the city of Montreal. The university was established in 1821, and here at McGill, there's endless possibilities, locally, nationally, internationally. As we know, we're a public research intensive university, and our degrees are recognized internationally and also globally. So immerse yourself in the culture.
So one of the things that I like to share is that one of my favorite things about McGill is the fact that it's located in Montreal. That was a big part in my decision to come study here. I'm also from the United States originally, and the McGill campus being in Montreal was a key factor in my decision to come attend university here. I love the fact that it's a city that is vibrant, that's multicultural, multilingual, but I also like the fact that the McGill campus is located right in the middle of the city. I came from a very large city and I was looking to have a campus experience, but at the same time, I didn't want to be in the middle of nowhere. So coming to Montreal provided me with an opportunity to have both a campus experience while being in a city. Montreal is often voted as the #1 student city in North America. We have the highest number of students per capita in North America, which means that it's a very young city, very vibrant city with a lot of activities that are great for students, and it's great for us who live in this city. A lot of them are free. They're happening year-round. We'll talk a little bit about winter in a little bit. What you're seeing here in the images, this is essentially in our backyard. So these are the kinds of activities that you could participate in while you're a student at McGill.
So join a diverse community. So meet students from across Quebec, Canada, and international. So definitely in Quebec right now, in Quebec, in McGill University, about 48% of our student body is from Quebec. 30% are international, and the rest of Canada is about 22% of our students. So when we mean international, we really mean from all across the world. We have students all the way as far as Australia, and as well down south, just as far as Brazil, Argentina, you name it. Yes.
Nicholas mentioned the fact that we are international. Something that we like to mention is that our students come from 150 different countries. So they come from many parts of the world. I've met students who've told me that their best friends are from countries they had never heard of before they came to McGill. So, which is really a nice experience. Our students, when I look at the students of what countries they come from, as I said, it's 150 countries. A significant portion do come from the United States, being right next door. The other two countries where we receive a lot of students are the students from France and from China. This slide has a lot of data. Some people like data, I like data. But these kind of numbers are there for you to look at. But I want to point out to something that I think is a bit more important for me. It's the fact that we have 325,000 alumni in 180 different countries. McGill has been around a couple of hundred years, as Nicholas mentioned. And this means that we have a very far reach when it comes to our alumni. This is really important as you consider your future. Where will you go do a master's or a PhD? Where will your career take you? I travel a lot on behalf of McGill in different parts of the world, and I constantly meet students who are now fully into their careers who will share with me how the Alumni Network helped them get a job, find a place to live, or just have someone to hang out with when they're moving to a new city where they don't know anyone. So this is really an important part of having a degree which is internationally recognized, but also having a network. You'll notice the numbers 180 plus countries. So students come from 150 countries, but they end up being in 180 different countries. So I think that's really important. Apparently, we're the #1 university in Canada for producing CEOs. So if you're interested in becoming a CEO one day and you want to study in Canada, apparently we're the place to be. So I think that's kind of fun.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So let's talk a little bit about winter. So in Montreal, we don't hide from winter. We embrace the chill. All right. The play on words, you guys. So it's very important to understand that a lot of times people, I'm probably not gonna, this is usually the big elephant in the room, but you guys are from the Northeast, everything in that nature. So you guys are used to winter. You guys know how winter is. But I always tell people might be cold where you're from, but in Montreal, it is colder. All right. So it's very, very, very important.
Not if you're from Buffalo, I'm sorry, or Cleveland. Cleveland.
True, I'll give it to
Cleveland is
Cleveland.
very similar to Montreal.
True, I agree with you on that one. So definitely just to give you guys an idea that everything that you guys are seeing definitely in this video, just like Regine mentioned earlier, this is right in our backyard. So all of these things are about 10 to 15-minute walk directly from the university itself. So very important. We always tell people during winter, we don't hide for real. We don't stay home with anything. We do participate in winter activities. And the city of Montreal is very vibrant. So you guys are going to see that throughout the year, there's quite a lot of stuff to do during winter. And Montreal is also the home of the coldest festival in the world, which is called Igloo Fest, which is during our coldest month of February. So historic meets modern. So let's talk about our campuses. So McGill has 2 campuses. Right now, we are all located at the downtown campus. And we on the west side of Montreal, about 40 minutes in between our 2 universities, we have another campus called the McDonald campus. The McDonald campus is for students that are in our Faculty of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences. So that campus is going to be in between our 2. Most of the students that are going, some students, you might have a class in if you're in downtown and you, let's say, for example, you do in the Faculty of Arts and you take geography and you take urban studies, you might have classes in the faculty and at the McDonald campus. So that's possible. And students from McDonald campus might have classes downtown. You just show your card and you could hop on the bus and it'll bring you to the McDonald campus and vice versa from McDonald down back to the downtown area. McDonald campus is also holding an open house today. So you guys could hop on the bus that would bring you directly to the McDonald campus to be able to visit it as well. So home away from home. So all first year students are guaranteed housing as long as they apply for it. So that means what? That means once you're going to apply for McGill University and decide to apply and make your admission application, on your application, you have to opt in. If you opt in, you get admitted, you confirm your admission, you will be guaranteed housing for all first year students. After that, each of the student housing, we have local wellness advisors, residence life managers, leadership and academic support, and community building activities.
Most students international students will stay in housing. It's a really great way to make new friends who are coming from other parts of the world. It's also a nice way to settle into a city that you don't know. And then you'll get to know where the grocery stores are, where you might want to live in the second year. And it's a great way to meet potential roommates. So when I moved out at the end of the first year, I moved out with a roommate who was literally my neighbor in residence. In residence, most of the rooms are single rooms. So you are able to settle in for that year and then get familiar with the city and then move out the next year.
Excellent. So you guys are going to see very straightforward for the residences. We have an apartment style, we have the traditional dormitory style, and we have the modern dormitory style. A lot of people tell me, Nick, this looks like a hotel. These are old hotels that McGill bought, renovated, and transformed into student housing. All right.
So Nicholas mentioned earlier that we are a public research intensive university. So what does this mean and why is this important? Well, for one, it provides a lot of opportunities for students to do research on campus. One of the great things about McGill is that you, as an undergraduate student, can participate in academic research, and you don't have to wait to be a rising senior to do that. You can do it as of your first year. There's lots of research going on at McGill. We have a medical school. We have all of our professors do research. There's PhDs who are doing research, master's students who are doing research. There's a lot of research, and professors tell us that they love having undergraduate students in their labs and in their research units. There's a picture of a lab here, but there's research available in every single faculty. When I talk to students about how hard was it for you to get a research opportunity, it's a research assistant's position, they tell me, whoa, I wrote to 4 professors, or I spoke to a couple of professors, and I was able to get an offer, 3 offers out of 4. So it's quite easy for students to get into that. It's a great way to explore what you might want to be studying perhaps later, or what you might want to work in later. If you're thinking about a master's or a PhD, this is a great way to explore that as well. You might discover a lab or a unit that's studying something that you're just curious about. You're not necessarily wanting to study that later as a master's, but it's something you're curious about. So there's lots going on, great opportunities for students to do that. In terms of internships, students often ask, do you have co-ops, right? So at McGill, we mostly have what are called internships. Co-op internships, what's the difference? Well, a co-op is built into a program. It's required. Okay, so a student, for example, in software engineering will be in class one semester, and then perhaps they will be doing a co-op another semester. Co-ops, obligatory. You're in a co-op, you like it, you don't like it, doesn't matter. You have to finish it because it's like a class. An internship is the same, except it is voluntary. You choose whether or not you want to do an internship. Again, a great opportunity to get experience, a great opportunity to explore careers. There are people in our career placement service that will help find internships for you. You can find your own internships. Faculties themselves have advisors who could work with you to get internships. But like I said, these are optional. And one thing to mention is that in Canada, internships are paid like co-ops, unless it's for a not-for-profit organization or if it's for credit for a course.
Excellent. So let's talk about McGill's campus and the clubs that goes on at McGill. So you guys are going to see at McGill, this is a little bit of mix up of everything together. So in the faculty of management and faculty of engineering, we have women in tech. We have a lot of stuff that goes on in the university. So if you're into clubs, if you're into doing different activities, extracurricular activities, you could partake into it. So we have sports, we have different activities that will be going on. McGill has over 300 clubs. All right. If you're into classical music, there's a classical music club. If you're into doing a cappella, there's 3 different a cappella clubs at McGill. All right. If you're into jazz, you could be partake into that. If you're into frisbee, there's a frisbee club. If you're into barbecue, and there's a barbecue club. You guys kind of understand the drift, right? We have a salad club. We also have a chocolate club at McGill. But it's just to say that if you have any interest, there is going to be a club that is going to align with your interest. So we also invite students to definitely take a look at that. And you guys are going to see there's quite a lot of stuff that goes on in university. As you guys can see from the picture, there's a lot on campus. All right, let's broaden your perspective. So McGill offers student exchange with over 150 universities in 39 countries around the world. So you guys are definitely, most students will decide to do a student exchange program usually after their second year at the university. So where you're going to be partnered and what school and what country you're going to go to, this is all going to depend on the faculty in which that you are admitted. All right. Not every faculty has the same countries that you guys are going to be able to go to. The booklet that we handed you towards the last pages, don't quote me. I don't think if it's 40 or 41, but you guys will see all the countries in which that we're located and where the students are able to go. So learn French while you're here. So definitely, like I was telling you, for people that missed it before, to be able to come to McGill University, you do not need to know how to speak French. McGill offers many opportunities to learn French in parallel with university studies, such as credit and non-credit courses, workshop, conversation clubs, and much, much more. And also, the French as a Second Language Center offers credit courses given throughout the year to students in any academic program. Any students here speak French? All right, excellent. Just to let you guys know, for any students that speak French, if you guys want to give your work in French, you guys can give your work in French to the professor. So services for students, services for you, student services, campus life and engagement, including in the first year, career planning services. So we were talking about career planning services, internships, everything of that nature. All right. After that, we have international student services, student accessibility and achievement, Office of Religious and Spiritual Life, Scholarship and Student Aid, and the Student Wellness Hub, where we have all our mental health workers, a psychologist, and also a doctor that's there for students only, and as well our dogs that you guys will see at the top right that move around the school, and you guys are allowed to hug them, pet them, do all that good stuff to ease the stress. So campus life and engagement, this is going to be the go-to hub for new students. So it helps students navigate the first important steps as they transition into McGill. So what are we talking about? The pre-arrival webinar. So knowing what you need to bring, what you're not allowed to bring, how do the rules at the university work, what jacket, all of that stuff. So make sure that when you make your transition to McGill, your transition is flawless. All right. The next one will be workshops on course registration. So I recently had a student that I've met just like you guys, and that's at McGill currently, and told me that was the most important workshop that he had was course registration. So make sure to sign up for the workshop registration just to be able to get through it. And after that, welcome week and orientation events. So maybe some of you guys have Googled McGill and saw that we here at McGill in Montreal, a lot of students call this Frosh Week. So if you guys hear Frosh Week and you guys ever hear students say, I'm going to be at Frosh Week, it is our welcome week and orientation event. And services for international students. So we have buddy program. So you'll be paired with a current student. Your first friend program. So you'll be matched with a new student in the same world region as you. So these are usually for students that maybe they want to have somebody to be able to have with each other to be able to help them maneuver the university. And the first friend program is usually students that maybe don't have a friend or anybody to talk to right now. And sometimes you might come from a specific place around the world Let's say, for example, you come from Barbados, might be another, maybe 2 or 3 students from Barbados. If they can't find another student from Barbados, they'll find another student from the Caribbean for you to be matched with, so they're able to help you out. After that, we have immigration advising. We have social events such as the meet and greets, bite-sized stores, battles of the bagels, cheap eats, all of that. And we also have pre-arrival webinars such as Winter 101, immigration, etc. So if you guys have any questions about that, are they still having an immigration? Or
Yep,
so
there's another session.
There's another
There's a-
session. So if you guys have any questions that's in regards to any of this,
After this one.
International Student Services will be having a session that you guys could attend and ask any other questions regards of that as well. So programs.
Okay, so McGill has 300 undergraduate programs. They are housed in different faculties or schools. So as Nicholas has mentioned before, the agricultural and environmental sciences, anything to do with food, is located at our McDonald campus. All the other programs will take place here downtown, but you can take courses, you could choose to take courses at either campus, which does as an elective, for example. So on the next slide. So most of you will have heard of majors. What's my major? I want to apply to a major. And probably will have heard of minor. All right. So a major is your main area of study as part of your degree. While a minor, I call it a baby major because instead of needing 10 courses approximately, depending on the faculty, to get your major or minor is about 5 courses. Some faculties will talk about concentration rather than a major, and that's a terminology that they use. Those are programs where, for example, let's say in management, where you might be combining economics and finance or finance and accounting, as an example. So those are 15 credits per concentration as compared to 30 credits per major. A course is around 3 credits, just to give you an idea. Honors options exist. Students can apply for honors after their at the end of their second year. Again, it depends on the faculty, but that's typically when you're doing it. This is for students who, after studying a particular field, find that this is really what they want to study. They have the intent to go on and do postgraduate studies in that area. So this is a great way to dive deeper and take more courses in a particular discipline. You also have the opportunity to work on a research paper, which can help prepare you for postgrad studies because it's independent research and you're working with a professor on that. Electives, these are what I call free courses that you can take out of interest. So just to give an illustration of my own experience, I majored in English literature. While I was in English literature, I took courses in communications, I liked them, took more and more of them, and that's a minor. Electives, these were like free courses. So I took courses in political science, in economics, in linguistics, in French, in psychology, all kinds of courses. Some students will do 2 majors and a minor. Some students will do 2 majors and lots of electives. The point I'm making here is that the McGill degree is extremely flexible. You're able to build a degree that reflects your interests, where you want to go. So even if you and your best friend are in the same faculty doing the same major, at the end, your degree will look like you and your friend's degree will look like them. So this is a really great opportunity to explore things that you're interested in. Your first year, you're taking courses that are either core courses for your degree, or you're exploring multiple disciplines as part of your faculty. And at the end of your first year, you're declaring your major. You don't have to apply to your major. So we'll show you. Oh, I want to talk about that.
Okay, I got you. Sorry, you guys.
There you
Excellent.
go.
So majors offered in more than one faculty. So when you guys are going to apply, you guys are going to notice that some of our majors are offered in more than one faculty. For example, economics will be in arts and it'll be in the faculty of management. To be honest, at the end of the day, knowing which faculty and which to apply is going to be a question of what your end goal is. All right, what is the career that you're looking for? To be honest, and maybe after that, what I highly suggest is to maybe sit with your guidance counselors. Most of the guidance counselors are kind of aware of McGill in our application process, and also aware that we have different majors and different faculties. So sit with your guidance counselors before making your application to know which faculty, if your major is offered in more than one, that you should be able to apply to. All right, very important. And if you don't, please communicate with McGill. We'll try our best to be able to help you out to make sure that you apply to the right one. So choose your path. All right. So faculties and schools. So there's different ways to apply depending on the faculty that we're in. So in one sense, the Faculty of Arts, Management, and the Faculty of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences, we choose our degree only. You will not need to choose a major on the application. You will be able to choose your program after your first year at McGill University. All right. So it's very important. We get a lot of emails during the application period about that, just to let you guys know. So you're only going to choose the degree only. When it comes to the Faculty of Science, we apply to a group. The first group will be the biological, biomedical, and life science group. After that, we have physical, earth, math, and computer science group. And after that, biophysical and computational science group. And the last one is Bachelor's of Arts and Sciences. All right. So you have to apply into the group in which that you're interested in. And after that, education, including kinesiology, engineering, including architecture, music, and nursing, you apply directly to the major because it is directly, these are licensed, professional
These
degrees.
are professional degrees.
All right.
The document that you have here in your hands has all of the faculties and schools presented. So if you are curious, for example, what science group should I be applying to, it's grouped in that way. All right. One thing to mention also is that when you are applying, this is what I was saying earlier, and I kind of cut myself off, is that when you are applying to a faculty and you're admitted to the faculty, even though you're not picking your major, you don't have to worry about having to apply to your major at the end of the first year and, oh, will I get in, right? Once you're in the faculty, you're in the faculty and you're able to select your major at the end of your first year, all right? It's a selection process that you make, all right?
Excellent. Admissions. So admission requirements are determined by what? By your educational background, so the curriculum you are following and the diploma you obtain. The second one will be the program choice. So the prerequisites course requirements vary by program. Also, at McGill, we do not review citizenship or residency, legacy information, interviews, essays, extracurricular activities. And here, this is going to be a very important tool. You guys, if you have any question about undergraduate questions, so very important, you go to mcgill.ca/undergraduate admissions. So application, it starts October 1st to January 15th. All right. So it's one application fee for 2 program selection. Very important. Once you're going to apply, you're not going to be able to do your 2 selection on the spot. We have to complete a full admission application. Once you finish, then you apply for your other program. And after that, the second one will automatically be, in parentheses, free. All right. So just to make sure that once you guys are going to apply, just to let you know, you have to complete the first application completely. After that, you opt in for residence during application. Regine?
I just wanted to interject. Earlier, when Nicholas was showing the fact that you have some disciplines that are available or majors available in more than one faculty, some students will, for example, apply to the Faculty of Management because they intend to do economics. That has a math prerequisite, but they will submit a second application for the Faculty of Arts where you can also do economics, but you don't have a math prerequisite. So if you're not sure if you're on the cutoff, you could submit applications for both and be considered for both.
Exactly. Thank you. And after that, self-reporting periods. So have you guys ever heard about self-reporting? So self-reporting is going to be, you guys are going to submit your grades. And after that, there will be a first period of self-reporting, open again after that from November 15th to January 20th. Then after that, students will self-report everything they have until that date. All right.
So you're entering the grades yourself that you had in high school. We'll eventually ask you for transcripts, but you will be entering those grades so that it goes into our system. That's what self-reporting is about.
Excellent. And after that second period will be from February 1st to March 1st, 2026.
Yes, it's going to depend on when you get your report card. Who here is in grade 12? Okay, so depending on when you get your report card, you might be self-reporting quarter term grades, or if you're on a semester basis, you may be submitting those grades during the first period. But some schools only get their grades after January 20th, so they would submit it during the second period. It is possible that students will report during the first period, and an admissions officer reviewing your file might ask you to submit an updated report card. If you're part of the first period, you're not expected to go in and add grades later, only if you are asked. Okay.
So supporting documents, the deadline will be March 1st. After that, next one will be no statement of purpose, reference letters, essay, or extracurricular information. That except for programs with additional requirements such as education, music, nursing, religious studies, and social work. So nursing, it will be a French prerequisite. If anybody's interested in nursing, here is a French prerequisite to be able to go to nursing. And for example, another one would be like social work, where you have to write a motivational letter. All right. Regine.
So we're going to go over the types of diplomas that U.S. students typically will submit. So for those of you who are completing a U.S. high school diploma, we will be asking you to submit 4 years of information. So grades 9, 10, 11, and 12. But the decisions on your admission are weighted for your grades 11 and weighted on your grades 11 and 12. But we do ask for the information. Sometimes, let's say you're doing an AP class in grade 11, that means the prerequisite we're looking for is going to be in your grade 10. That's possible. But APs are advanced placement. So that's where we're asking you to submit 4 years to see if you've been in the same school for 4 years, but also grades 10 and 11 and 12 is to look at what courses you've taken. But the weight is really on grades 11 and 12. We remain ACT, SAT submission optional. You are asked on the application whether or not you intend to submit those grades. It's your choice. It doesn't hurt you one way or the other. It doesn't help you one way or the other. You have to evaluate whether or not you want to submit ACTs or SAT scores. Once you tell us that you're going to submit them, we expect them. So when you're submitting them and you say, yes, I'm going to submit them, you can't call back a month later and say, I changed my mind. If you've done the testing more than once, we're going to ask you to submit all of them. And this is to help you, actually, because we will take the best score from each of the tests that you have taken. All right, so we do expect you to be transparent about the courses and the testing that you have done. For those of you who are doing the IB diploma, anybody here in an IB school? Okay, well, we could skip this one. Anyone here doing the Bac Français in a lycée? Okay, we're going to skip this one.
Excellent.
All right.
Any indigenous students here?
Native Americans?
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So admission decisions for each program. So time of application doesn't affect decisions, and no first or second choice. We review and make decisions both choices separately. Did you want to add something to this?
Yes, I just wanted to say that it's the applications, we talked about submitting 2 applications, they're reviewed by different officers. So just because you receive an admission to one program doesn't mean you won't also be admitted to the other program, all right? So you will get a decision for both programs if you submit 2 applications.
So what does it cost?
So what we have here is information based on this year's tuition. The tuition for next year will be posted normally it's before the December break. So what you have here are in Canadian dollars. It ranges between 36,000 and 73,000 Canadian dollars. Weird, it's a range. Why? Big range. Well, we are a public institution. We are not a private institution. So the tuition is based on various calculations. So our Faculty of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences is the $36,000 tuition. It's not downtown. It's a different campus. It's not the same cost. When you're looking at something like engineering, it'll be in the 73,000 range. If you scan the QR code, but the link is also in the view book, you'll see by December what the tuition will be next year. Now, what's really interesting, I think, for parents is what we have, which is the guaranteed tuition model. That means that your tuition that you are paying as of September 26 will remain the same tuition as long as you are in the same faculty throughout your studies. So that allows for planning. So if you're paying $40,000 September 26, you will be paying the same thing September 27, 28, 29. So that is a major thing that's important for families. If you have Canadian citizenship or French citizenship, you are paying another fee, which is a Canadian tuition fee, and that's government determined. In this book, we have a page where we break down for the different citizenships whether you're an international student or a Canadian student, what your tuition will be. If you have Quebec residency, there's, again, another fee. So you'll find information about that. We do offer scholarships and financial aid. I won't spend a lot of time here because there is a session that's offered for this. But essentially, there's an entrance scholarship. We have entrance scholarships that are merit-based. So some you don't have to apply for, but the ones that where you see major, you know how we said before that we will not look at extracurriculars, we will not look at letters of intent. This is where that's looked at. So if you're applying for one of the scholarships, that's where you will be submitting additional documentation. On the website that's managed by the scholarship office, you have a lot of information about what is required. But as I said, there is a session taking place today. And we also have entrance bursaries. So financial aid is available for students when they're coming in, whether you're international or Canadian, it makes no difference. Normally at this point, I do mention that as US residents, you would have access to government federal funding for education because we're one of 2 Canadian universities recognized by the American government. But given that there's policy changes, we don't know. So I would ask you to look for that. But other than that, we have financial aid. Faculties also offer scholarships, in-course scholarships. Those are managed by the individual faculties. So if you want to know about those, you can talk to them individually because those are managed through their office. So what I'm talking about are scholarships and financial aid that are granted at the start of your studies. The majors are renewable. Same thing with the financial aid.
Excellent. Just to let you guys know, McGill is one of the very few universities in Canada that also accepts FAFSA.
Yeah.
So if you guys have FAFSA, McGill accepts FAFSA. Also, affordable and accessible. So Montreal is one of the best value major cities in the world, as it also steps away from several major North American cities, including Toronto, New York, Boston, and Ottawa. So this right here, may just let you guys know all these prices are in Canadian dollars. So just to give you guys an idea, average rent per month for a 1-bedroom apartment in Montreal is about 1,825 Canadian dollars a month. And this is like staying around the universities.
Well, and to point out, this is the Montreal average.
Yeah.
So this includes people who have full-time careers and renting an apartment. Right. So when I speak to students and I ask them how much they're paying for their rent, they tell me they pay around $900 Canadian for their apartments. So that just gives you an idea. And I survey them regularly to check on these prices. But what's here is the city average. Yes. So even for those of us who live here as employees, we are paying less than if we were living in other cities, including my original hometown, which seems to be the most expensive one on that page. So,
excellent. So find out more. So McGill has the McGill Summer Academy. The McGill Summer Academy, if you guys can scan the QR code, but it's an academy. It's a summer academy that is, we have one group the 2 first weeks of July and the second group the last 2 weeks of July. So the students get to really partake into classes. They really have real professors. They do activities and all kinds of things. So it kind of and they stay on the residence on campus as well. So this is a way for students to understand and kind of appreciate what it is before becoming a McGill student, what it's like to be a McGill student during that
so those
period.
of you who are in grade 10 or 11, you would be able to participate. We have a neuroscience for those who are thinking, in terms of futures in health science, and we also have a political science stream. Students come from all over the world to participate in this program, so it's a real microcosm of the McGill experience. I wish you a wonderful rest of open house. Thank you.
Thank you.